So we know that the kitchen is where we spend the most time in our homes. The bathroom is a close second. And a problem that many of us have is with mildew. You know who mildew's big brother is? That's mold. So if you can control the mildew, you can avoid a problem potentially with mold. But we never clean it with the right stuff. We never go far enough. Well, don't worry. I've got some tips on how you can avoid the mildew problem in your bathroom. The first thing you want to do here is get rid of the mildew that's already there by scrubbing the whole surface with a combination of TSP and water. This combination will penetrate the surface and expose the roots of the mildew. Now, if your surface is non-porous, you're going to want to use bleach. Bleach will get into the exposed roots and kill the mildew from the inside out. Next, wipe away the bleach and wipe the entire surface down with water. Now, the surface may still look stained, but the mildew should be taken care of. Okay, now that you have the mildew removed up in your bathroom, let's make sure that you take some steps so it doesn't return. It's all about ventilation. Now, if you don't have an exhaust fan in your current bathroom, you may want to have one installed. And when you do, look for one that is rated for 100 CFMs minimum. CFMs are cubic feet per minute of air movement, and it needs to be vented outside, not into the attic. Now, if you have a fan, you just need to start using it, and make sure that you run it at least 10 minutes after you're done showering or taking a bath to get rid of all that moisture. Now, if you live in a home built before 1980, there's a good chance that you have some asbestos in your home, whether it's wrapped around a pipe or in a floor tile or even in the insulation in the walls. Now, this is not something that you can remove yourself. We're going to talk to an expert to give us some of those options. Well, the word you don't want to hear inside your home is asbestos. I'm here with Tim from Kerfin Inspections. Thanks so much for joining me.
Glad to be here.
When you come across a house that has asbestos, have you found that it's the kiss of death?
No, it's not. Generally, when you see asbestos, there's two types, friable and non-friable. Friable is the stuff you can poke and the asbestos becomes airborne, you can breathe it in. Non-friable is kind of like when you see the 9x9 tiles on the floors.
Now, when these remediation folks come in, can you kind of walk us through the process of what happens?
They'll contain the area with plastic. They'll make sure everything's sealed very nicely, filter the air through HEPA filters, and then they'll create negative pressure, which is generally a fan that goes outside a door or a window, and it goes through another filtration process. And then they remove it, it goes to the dump site. They'll give them a chain of custody as proof of where it was dumped and how it was dumped. There's a special area where they dispose of that.
But asbestos abatement is not something you should do yourself, nor is it even legal, correct?
It is illegal to remove asbestos. You should have a professional remove it, just because it's unsafe.
I think people think about professional remediation, I think tens of thousands of dollars, and while it can be true, sometimes it doesn't have to be that expensive, right?
No, it's not that bad. Generally, if you have a 1,000 square foot basement full of vinyl asbestos floor tiles, it could be a couple $1,000s, which I don't think is that bad.
Not the kiss of death, not something you should be doing yourself, but you definitely need to get an inspector, it needs to get tested, and then ultimately, if you have it, it needs to be professionally removed.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's good advice. Radon is a naturally occurring radioactive gas that's in our environment. It's detected all over the world, and we live with it every single day. But it's bad news inside our home. We do not want elevated levels of radon gas. Now, if that does occur, it can be controlled. But before you get to that point, there are test kits that you can do yourself to find out what those levels are. Now, this is a kit that you can buy at the hardware store. It's about $10 or $15. It comes with these two vials that you place at the lowest level, say in your basement, and you leave them open for 4 days. Then you put them inside this envelope that comes with the test kit, and you ship it off to the lab. They charge you $30 to analyze the radon levels in your home. Now, hopefully, after a couple weeks, the results come back and say you have nothing to worry about. But if the radon levels are elevated, you're going to have a contractor come in and install a mitigation system. It typically is a way to vent the area and get rid of that gas and put it outside. The cost for one of these systems is anywhere from $1,500 to $3,500, depending on the size of the home. But by testing it first, you'll know exactly what you have, and you'll be able to take the right steps to keep you and your family safe. You know, whoever told you that living in a home was going to be easy, well, they weren't telling you the whole story. Now, there are things you can do yourself, which we described, but sometimes you need a pro to come in to figure out what's wrong and to fix it. That is an investment, I understand that. But that investment is something you have to spend money on so you don't take the safety of you and your family for granted.